Chicken paillard, a really wonderful technique. Paillard is a French term for a thinly pounded piece of meat. Typically, it was chicken or veal, but it can be many things. We can pound out a piece of beef, monkfish tail, it could be a piece of fish, pork. We think about the different proteins that we have that we can make into a paillard. So I have obviously a boneless, skinless chicken breast here. And as you can see, the thinnest part is really our goal. We want to pound out our chicken breast to where it's equal to the thinnest part of the breast. And we're going to do that between pieces of plastic wrap. We have a mallet which has two sides to it. One is spiked, and the spike is used for another technique where we want to actually break the fiber of the meat. The smooth side is what we're going to use today, just to slightly continue to pound it very uniformly, but we're not going to use any massive pressure on it. We're going to fold this over. And this will take a few minutes, so, take your time. At first, it's going to be bouncy, and eventually it'll start to give. Paillard can be something that we also grill. I love it when it's grilled. And many of you may have had this in restaurants around the country. It's great for a lunch, a light dinner. It'll take all of maybe 5 minutes to 6 minutes to actually saute. As the fiber breaks, it'll start to expand in size. Just want to show you that. You want to make sure that your saute pan is the appropriate size. The other thing I want to talk about is the quality of our cookware, because we want to make sure that our cookware is of a quality that's going to conduct the heat as well as recover, which recover means when we add our ingredients into the saute pan or the hot oil, that the heat recovers fairly quickly. And the thicker the metal is, and this is a bonded saute pan, so it has two different metals bonded together, one aluminum, one stainless steel. Typically, the thicker that it is, in this case with stainless steel and aluminum, the faster it's going to recover. And that's a very, very important quality to be thinking about when you're buying cookware. So we have what I think now is fairly even thickness on our paillard. We're going to go ahead now, eliminate our film. We'll go ahead and season it a little bit. Again, I like to have my salt snowing or raining down onto the chicken so it spreads out nice and evenly. Our saute pan, heat it up over high heat to get it started. We're going to add our oil, and this is just a vegetable oil. You can use any vegetable oil that has a very high flash point. We want to avoid cooking with oils that have low flash points. And oils that have low flash points, and I know this is a common, that I've heard it many, many times. A lot of people like to cook with olive oil or extra virgin olive oil. And that's something you don't want to do. It has a low flash point. We like to use our olive oil as a condiment to flavor our ingredients, but not to cook our ingredients. And if we do really want to use an olive oil to cook with, then I would recommend using a second press oil or a third press oil, more refined oil in the olive variety. I have probably about 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little more oil in our saute pan. The heat's on high, so we're going to monitor this. And we're going to garnish that today with some pickled red onions and some roasted Marcona almonds. Some of you may have noticed that I didn't season with pepper, and that's a very important thing. For me, seasoning is not always about the pepper. It's about enhancing flavor. Pepper adds a flavor. I like pepper a lot, but I don't typically season everything with salt and pepper. Now we're starting to shimmer, starting to move around a little bit. Remember to always, when you're putting your product, especially proteins, in your saute pan to lay them in away from you. So if you have an accident, if it actually slips out of your hand, the oil will splatter that way as opposed to towards you. We always want to be very careful, certainly when we're dealing with heat and oil. So I'm just laying it in there, as you can see. And I'm not afraid of it. So I'm not afraid that the oil is going to burn me. And there it goes. Now this is what I'm going to just turn down my heat a little bit here. I don't need it to be so intense. I can see already starting the change of color around the exterior. If you want to accelerate the cooking process here, we'll take a spoon and we can just take a little bit of oil and start putting it on top like that, kind of basting it. It's got a little splatter. You see that sauteing is about that because the oil is actually jumping out of the pan a little bit. You can start to see it caramelize or Maillard brown around the exterior. I'm going to cook it 80% on the one side because I want to have a nice caramelization. We all love those flavors when our meat gets a little crispy and a little caramelization on it. It's a really unique flavor that we all have come to appreciate. And then I'm just going to kiss it on this side when I get ready to turn it over, probably for maybe a minute or so. This pan, you can see it's relatively large, so we could have 2 paillards in here. Remember, you can cook your paillards. If you want to do your dinner for 4 or 6, go ahead and cook them ahead of time. You can have 2 saute pans running simultaneously, and you can just keep them warm in the oven while you're finishing the preparation or the garnish that you're going to use. You can see this is a relatively hot oil. The sizzling comes from the moisture that's coming out of the chicken. Chicken has that moisture, has water in it, so that's what's sizzling. When all that moisture is gone, the ingredient that you're sauteing will stop sizzling. You can see that nice brownness on that side. I can feel it. It's just about done. Turn it over. Again, you can see I'm not afraid of the oil. But I want you to be very careful kind of doing what I'm doing. I'm used to this. How do you tell when it's done? That's just a slight resistance to it, not too much. There we go. Set that off of the fire. We have our arugula. We're going to dress that with extra virgin olive oil, some balsamic vinegar, garnishing it with toasted Marcona almonds and some pickled red onions. We'll start by putting our oil first. I want to put the oil first because I want the oil to coat each leaf. And after that, then I'll season it. I'm going to season it with salt. Again, you can season it with pepper if you like as well. But because the roquette is so spicy, the arugula is so spicy, I don't really think it needs any pepper. Coating it with the oil will help us when the seasoning hits each leaf, it'll actually stick to it, so it sticks to the oil. If we didn't have the oil on the leaf and we're trying to put our salt on it, the salt's just going to fall through. So the oil is what actually helps the salt adhere to each leaf, and that's really important to remember. Now, you can see each leaf now is covered. It's a little shimmer and shine, and that's really good where you want to be. Again, salt enhances flavor, so we're going to enhance this. So I'm using kosher salt here. Iodized salt carries a flavor that, to me, is very, very bitter. So I suggest that you do a salt tasting at home using kosher salt and iodized salt. Taste the kosher salt first, because once you taste the iodized salt, you'll understand the bitterness of that, and that's something we want to avoid in our food, is that added flavor, certainly of bitterness. We're going to garnish this now with our pickled red onions. And I love these onions. I love the crunch. I love the acid to them. It really gives you a bright snap. And some texture in our Marcona almonds. I've made a sauce vierge for this dish. Again, something very light, very fresh. Sauce vierge is nothing but chopped fresh tomatoes. And we've peeled these tomatoes, seeded them, and then diced them. Mix them with some chopped onion, chopped chives, and extra virgin olive oil, and some balsamic vinegar. I'm going to put a little balsamic vinegar on here now as well. Just a small amount. We don't need a lot because, again, the nature of the arugula is very spicy in of itself. So the extra acid is not necessarily always needed. All right. And we're ready to plate our dish. So you see there is a wet towel underneath my cutting board, and there's a real purpose to that. It's for safety. I keep a damp towel underneath there so the board doesn't slide around. You can see I'm working on a stone surface here. Stainless steel surfaces as well are very slick. So we, in our kitchens, always put something damp underneath that. Or you can use sometimes a very thin trivet, rubber trivet, if you will. You see a lot of those composite trivets that they've made these days, just so that the board doesn't move. You want to have that stable surface to work on. The sauce vierge is here. This is just really so fresh, and I'm actually quite hungry right now. This is going to be very nice. Sauce vierge goes with many different things. This is a condiment. We call it a sauce. In French, it's called sauce vierge. To me, it doesn't really represent the texture or the look of a true sauce, something that we make with veal stock or chicken stock or things like that. Nonetheless, it's a wonderful, very easy sauce to make, and something that you can keep in your refrigerator for a couple weeks and have on hand and use it with not just chicken, but fish. You can use it to dress a salad with even if you want to. So different proteins, different vegetables. It's just really an all-purpose kind of sauce to use. And then our arugula salad there. Making sure to get those beautiful red crispy onions, some Marcona almonds for texture. And there we go. Very simple, very quick, and very nutritious.